actually listens, which that's what I do if I happen to like toss it on to just listen back. I'm not watching it. I'm just listening.
I don't remember what day we uploaded the last one, but it was rough. Didn't get as many views.
Well, it is what it is.
It was rough.
I
think
the money's going down.
I know we're losing revenue. I think I uploaded it on like a Friday night or something, which I knew was bad.
It was a little different than normal.
Yeah, because didn't we did it? I don't know. We missed one. So
Yeah.
I don't remember. Was it a Thursday? I don't know.
It's probably Wednesday or Thursday, something like that last week.
I don't know, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be better. I'm gonna actually upload it tomorrow on a Tuesday. So
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Because it was weird because the week before was actually great. It went up like 3 weeks in a row, and the Spotify listens actually were way higher.
I don't know what Spotify looks like yet.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, you can't see listens on Spotify unless you're the owner and creator. But it's like 10 people, something like that. I know.
It's better than zero.
But the last one got like 3, and the one before that got like 14 or 15. So I was like, we went way up. So I think it does matter when you upload it because people are gonna forget about it. If they upload it on a Friday, so gotta upload it on the right days. I guess not that it matters that much, but
dude, we just have to be bigger.
Yeah,
so
we got
to the point where
huge.
People they don't go off our schedule. They just know they're subscribed and they just see the post and they're like
clamoring for read reviews.
Yeah, the new read reviews is up.
Oh,
Holy
sick,
shit!
Stoked. Yeah, it's all right though.
Yeah,
I think my knee's broken. Were you just complaining about something about your knee?
Well, yeah, at work today, I like rammed it into a metal thing, and it's just every time I pick it up and use all the weight on it, I can just feel it, and I'm like, it just is annoying me. I'm fine.
Oh, so it's bruised.
Yeah, it's not like actually bad. It's just like sore.
I think mine could be actually fucked up, and I'm
From
anxious
what?
about it. From pulling the hammy.
Oh, so still from that?
The hammy is done. It's totally fine. And I thought the knee was just soreness from it being hurt and whatever. But now it's swollen. And I'm like, well, it's been like 6 or 7 weeks. So.
And you haven't, nothing's happened or you haven't done anything to it. That's.
No, hell no.
Just
from the hammy pull. And so I'm worried that I might have done something more to my knee than just pulled the hammy. Because what's really shitty about these things is when you tear an ACL or one of those ligaments or whatever, you can walk on it and it doesn't hurt necessarily.
I mean,
it's just torn and fucked.
Yeah.
And so I can walk totally fine. It hurts a little bit going upstairs. It hurts to bend it all the way to the max. And it's, now it's a little bit swollen. So I was icing it last night and I'm like, fuck, now I got to go get my stupid bum ass knee checked out. I don't want to get knee surgery at 27. So.
I think if you're walking on it and you're chilling, I doubt you have to get surgery.
We'll see.
I feel like you're probably good. If you can walk and you're still doing it, unless they're like, yeah, dude, you walk on it one more week and we're off to amputate or something.
No, amputate? Yeah, I don't think it's going there. But from what I've heard with ACLs, you can walk on them and they don't really hurt very much. People have walked around with torn ACLs for a year before.
Yeah,
don't even
definitely.
Know.
So Kobe Bryant shot his free throws on his torn ACL. That's not that crazy, but I mean,
for a while,
or like mid game, literally the injury happens. He goes down. He is clearly showing oh, it's bad. He's it hurts, but then he gets fouled on the play, so he goes up and he hobbles over to the line and he just sinks both his free throws. Sinks them, of course he does, but he's got a completely torn ACL. He gets up on his own and he hobbles over. That's probably a way more serious one, I'd think, but. Yeah, I mean, guys can walk on them. It's probably just the severity
that's
of
why
it.
That's why I'm worried about it, man. And I've been playing pickleball. I can do active stuff, and my leg doesn't give out. What I've heard with torn ligaments in your knees, your leg will just buckle.
Yeah, I think with us having played pickleball on Saturday and you were totally fine, there was never.
It always gets a little bit sore.
By the end, nothing happened that made you stop, which is probably I would think if it was a real thing, there'd be a moment where you're like, I can't play more. It hurts, it kills. So
I got to be in tip-top shape for Turkey Bowl, man. We only got a month.
Yeah, right. I finally went to the first one last year, and it was just oh, that's right. I'm running sprints off the line for 2 hours straight. Yeah. My legs were cooked the next day.
Dude, it's always so fun. I love the feeling after you're done and your ankles are just hurting and your legs are tired. You're
yeah. I got a touchdown today. I think I had one touchdown last year. I was very ineffective for most of it, but still got found on a couple.
I'm a terrible receiver, but I can kind of pass, and I can actually play DB pretty well because you don't have to worry about fucking flags or PI. So I just kind of get up in their faces and I just stick my arms up. I don't have to worry about looking back at the football like you do in actual
football.
I
having played it once, my biggest thing was we got close to having, like, I almost collided with Matt, like, just face to face, and it would have been bad. It's just because we're all running there's no routes. Like, we're all just running.
Yeah.
So there's no semblance of organization.
I don't know if it was last year, but I threw a pass and just what?
There's a
There's a fly, which I don't know how a fucking
Get
fly
outta
gets
here.
way up in this room. That's like 3 layers of doors you have to get through to get into this room.
Deep. He's never getting out.
But I threw a pass just right into McMahon's face.
Yeah.
Right into his face. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I was not trying to smoke. He
like-
was just running across while there was somebody else behind him, and I just, boom.
In the end,
Right in his face.
we don't play football. So we know how to play football, obviously. You just got to throw and
Kinda.
pass and run. But, like, in the end, we're just a bunch of dudes in our 20s who are just, like, it's fun to get active once in a while. Turkey Bowl's a good excuse to do it, to actually do it. And I always was the kid who, anytime people were like, we're going to go play, like, two-hand touch, I'm like, yeah, I'm the kid who gets tackled and, like, my arm gets shattered, like, first play. I always have that feeling where I'm like, I'll be the guy that ends up getting smoked. Nobody was trying to, but maybe someone was also a little more physical than the others. And
Yeah,
happened to,
there's aggressive 2-hand touch where you're tackling people.
It's like it's not two-hand touch. It's two-hand shove to the ground, get your face in the dirt. So
yeah.
that, in the end, it was totally fine. Like, we're all old enough to know. I think all of us, when you see that moment 10 years ago, we're like, I'm going for it. And I'm going to get this. And now I'm like, nah, man, it's not worth it. Like, I'm not diving for that.
I did that. I got apparently, like, it's a really common quarterback injury because when they get tackled and pushed into the ground, it separates their shoulder from their collarbone a little bit. And I got that because the first year I dove for a pass in the corner of the end zone and landed on my shoulder, and I was like, oh, I'm smoked. So when we went to Matt's apartment after to party and drink, I had a little sling.
Yeah.
I was a little crippled.
It's still fun, though. It's
worth
still worth it. Yeah, it's always worth it as long as I can go to work the next time I need to go to work. All right, cool. Because
I don't have to do anything physical, so I can go no matter what.
Yeah,
unless I got like a concussion.
I can get away with my legs being sore, and I can still do my job. If my upper body, which doesn't happen a lot because that's what I am so active with at work, I tend to not be sore. But if, like, my arms were smoked or my chest or something, it'd be a rough day at work.
Dude, if my legs were smoked, I'd be screwed at your work because just having to walk around. Because when they're that sore, it's like, oh, my feet hurt, my legs are sore. I don't even want to walk around.
You just get used to it's just like staircases and stuff where you're like, here we go, 5 seconds. And you bust it out as fast as you can, get up as fast. And then going downstairs with bad legs is scarier than going up. Because going down, it's like, I could give out at any point.
Yeah,
and
going up, you can catch yourself.
I'm going to fall. If one gives out, I'm just going to take the tumble.
I'll be honest, I've never been that sore where I've ever been worried about falling down because usually I'll just walk sideways and go old man, especially like in high school when you had the 2-a-days and your legs are just smoked and then you had to go to football and run again. And I was like, oh, God damn it, I don't want to do this.
Well, especially at school, too, back at high school where, like, the staircases are massive. You have to walk up, like, huge. A ton of stairs just to get to the second floor, and it's like, damn. I remember, like, that was the end of high school. The few times going up and downstairs, I was like, this is a lot. I don't want to do this again. I'm realizing how many stairs I have to go up and down. This sucks. That's the laziest thing ever, but
Getting older, I actually like stairs more. I forget there's an actual terminology for it, but it's basically trying to work out as much as you can, even though you're not working out. So walk the extra steps that you need to in order to get to a certain destination. Walk up the stairs. Don't take the elevator. It's called like active working out or something stupid like that.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's something stupid like that. I want to look it up now, but it's just something that just get a little bit more in because it all does add up and do something over time if you just add in a little bit more calories or a little bit more work to get your muscles used.
I agree. It's kind of at where I work there. It's very easy for people to be like, I don't want to help someone else out. I just do what I do. And so when I have downtime, that's my downtime. And I don't go help anyone else. I stay busy the whole day. So there's moments where I'm like, when someone doesn't want to help me out as much and I'm like just going crazy, I'm like, let's go. Like, we got to keep moving. We got to get this stuff going. And like the idea of like, I don't want to sacrifice my own work to be easier because then the people around me are going to keep doing the same thing. It's like at there, I'm like, I have to just bust ass the whole time.
You got to keep busy
to prove to them that like, yeah, you worked harder for 5 extra seconds, man. you're not gonna die. Like you'll make it.
It's worth it to stay busy too, because if you're not staying busy, shit just sucks.
So easy to fall into without realizing. Just like I said, like, oh, I'll do nothing for 5 minutes, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm getting paid, but at the same time, I'm like, but I could also just be doing something to help out, and that's better. It like in my mind, it should be that simple, and yet also working for a union and stuff, and just how people are. It's like, well, I was in here by myself and nobody helped me out and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I was all day today. It's like, and I still came to you and helped you out.
Mine's just a boredom thing. Like it just makes the days so long and unbearable when you're bored.
So slow.
An 8-hour, 9-hour day. And it's just nothing's happening. Happens so often in construction and in the food industry sometimes too. Luckily, with the food industry, you'd get sent home if it was really dead. But sometimes your managers would just keep you there even though it's dead because they're like worried because sometimes it does pick back up and if you send somebody home and it's like puts you in that tough spot.
Could be a rush.
Yeah. And so it just sucked. And I swept. I've swept the floor for the 5th time today.
Dude, yeah.
Loving that. I think I got it.
TJ Maxx, it was, I always was the men's kids toys section, which is just like one half of the store. And I was like, all right, whatever. And once, 8:30 hits a night and we close at 9:30, it was always just like, well, nobody's at the there's nobody here in line. I'm just going to literally walk around my section. And I find one shirt that's like flipped around. I'm like, oh, that's better. For hours. You're just finding one thing every like 10 minutes to be like, well, that's a little out of place.
Okay. At my job now, at the end of the day, when I have to leave, because I kind of can show up within a certain period of time. I can kind of show up when I want to and leave when I want to, just with a little bit of gray area. But on days like today, where I know that I have to leave at a certain time to be able to get here in time, it puts you in that awkward spot because my job is to get on the phone and call and talk to people and chat with them and learn about kind of what their goals are. And if it's like 20 minutes until we're supposed to leave and my phone calls are usually always like half an hour, it's like, okay, I don't know what to do now. I'm just kind of sitting here looking at stuff.
Yeah.
That fly's going to be like the Breaking Bad episode.
If it enters my peripheral, I'm like, whoa.
Is that episode just called The Fly?
Fly. Funny enough, I've been on a binge of watching on YouTube Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad commentaries. I think it must have been from a DVD thing where they do commentaries for every episode with like Vince Gilligan, the main characters that are in the episode, and like
Better Call Saul too, huh?
Yeah, and it's so
interesting. Dude, so much newer.
Super interesting. It's like really cool to listen to them. They're just watching the episode, and you can like listen to them and watch along if you wanted. But I love getting the behind the scenes info of what it was like to be on set with the people, all the actors being like, oh, I love this scene. Like all of them love the show so much. I think that like shows why it's so good. Every single actor, when it's not their scene, they're very much like, oh, I love this part with Mike and blah. Like everyone knows everything about the show. So you can tell people are very much in when I think it's very simple, especially with a TV show. If you don't have a big part, you just show up. You don't even know what the scene is. You just remember the lines and you just kind of say them.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the scene with Hank and Walter at the end of the show in the garage where they're finally face to face and Hank tells him he knows and Walt gives him the tread lightly. It's like both those characters have to fully believe and be into. I rewatched that and like Hank's face from the moment you see him is just like disgusted. He is so fucking jeez.
It's just flying right in your face. Here. Yeah, it's just gonna fly right in your face.
But Hank is so locked in from the moment the scene starts. When you see him, he is like,
what's his name?
Dean Norris. Just seeing how committed the people are to the parts is so cool. Like hearing Bryan Cranston talk about Walter White and Heisenberg, the character, and hearing Dean Norris talk about Hank, like you can tell they were so committed to the parts and dead serious about wanting to get it right because they knew how important it was and how good it was really to make sure it is at the top level it can be at all times and has a cohesive storyline with characters that make sense, with actors that are all just killing their parts.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I watched the whole trilogy recently, but all this Lord of the Rings stuff has been popping up like behind the scenes. You've sent some stuff. I've seen some stuff. It's just everywhere. I feel like 1 or 2 times a year, my whole social media feed just gets totally filled with fucking Lord of the Rings shit. I'm trying to karate chop this stupid fly.
We're gonna be fighting this whole time.
And what I've just been diving in so much more, especially with that miniature one that you sent lately. I was like, this shit is just so cool. And I had seen that recently when you sent that, so that's why it was weird. I think I'd seen it too, and I just didn't even realize until I really watched. I was like, you have to go in and watch
massive.
it. Yeah.
Like, this is
football fields.
Yeah, they say it was a rugby, like a rugby field. I was like, oh my God, that's fucking huge. That's like huge.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see people have that passion and make something so sick, and you get to go live in New Zealand for however long they were there, probably a year or two, because they filmed all the movies at once, right?
Oh, they were there for a while.
Oh, longer?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. Like, so either way, sick, and you're just committed, and you become best friends with all these people on there, and that's your job.
I've heard from the Lord of the Rings cast where there are certain movies and projects that actors are a part of where they're like, I'm not keeping up with every co-star or every other person I've ever been in a movie with, but they're like, the Lord of the Rings cast, all of them are like, oh yeah, we keep up. Like, we have get-togethers. We all talk to each other. It's like, you can just see it on the screen. All these people are having a good-ass time. Like, the best time of their lives, putting all the effort into assuming it's going to be what they think it's going to be, one of the best projects they've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
In their whole lives.
And it's different because I think, I'm kind of just spitballing here, but I think that the average film time for movies is actually pretty short. It's like 3 to 6 months typically for filming movies. And now, obviously, that varies a shit ton depending on if you're recording the Lord of the Rings trilogy all back to back at the same time. That's obviously going to be a lot longer. That's why they were there for years probably. But a lot of them, it's really like 3 to 6 months.
And I imagine like a Silver Linings Playbook is a lot easier to film than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Just the subject matter. Yeah.
You're not building rugby field miniatures.
Yeah. You just like, sometimes you just get a drama. Like the Banshees of Inisherin, it was like, it's just two dudes talking
Very
for a
cheap
lot.
movie.
Like, you can have an idea that you could film out in Spokane if you wanted to, and you could get a lot of places that don't look like it if you get the right shots and stuff. So
most horror movies, I bet, are really short film times.
Oh, I would think
they're usually really small sets.
Horror,
they're always really cheap. They don't usually spend big bucks on horror.
Yeah, you have to be very creative in horror. That's why I always love it.
Cool genre.
It's always fun because you have to be creative. You can't just kill someone in the movie and be like, that was wild.
That's
why show a ghost and be like, ooh, scary. It's like, we've seen that before. We are now like, we're always reaching for the next thing, but there is always new ways to do it. And with horror, it's like, you can do so many things that are uncomfortable for people that make them feel scared in so many different ways.
It's a love-hate relationship because I would say probably 90 to 95% of horror movies I kind of hate because they're just bad. Or they're just not creative.
Yeah.
Like that that's something that I've always Sydney really likes horror movies. She wants to watch horror movies a lot. And I'm just almost always like, no, I don't like trying new ones. I only like watching the ones that people have told me are really good, like Hereditary and those kinds of movies.
Horror
because
is
I don't
scary.
I don't like going to new horror, not because, like I said, I don't usually get scared in most horror movies. I just don't. I used to. I don't know why. I think it's, like I said, it's because I've seen the production and I like see how they're making this. I'm watching it more of a movie breakdown rather than immersing myself, which I think kind of sucks.
I get caught up in like, the monster's cool, but like, how did they create the monster?
Yeah.
It's like, I lose the fact.
How did they film this?
Yeah.
How'd they do the lighting?
Yeah, same. Like Alien,
the set.
The Alien movie, you see the scary alien, but as soon as you see it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome with how good it looks. I am so interested. Like, now I want to know, how did you come up with this?
Yeah. So I have a hard time with horror movies because I don't like taking the risk. I don't want to waste my time. Because the thing is, and I've talked about this before, there's bad movies, good movies, and good movies. Bad movies are bad movies that are just fucking bad, which there aren't a ton of them. And then there's bad movies that are, or bad good movies might be a better way to say it. Bad good movies that are bad, but they're still good because they're fun to watch because they're so dumb and bad.
Yeah, it's like The Room.
Yeah, and then good movies are good movies that you actually go and you enjoy. The bad good movies, like, that's not really a thing in horror. Usually, if they're bad, they're just fucking bad movies.
Especially with horror, you kind of know going into it what you're going to get, I would think, because it's like Evil Dead. If you don't know what you're getting with Evil Dead, don't go watch it. Like, it's just going to be a bunch of blood and gore and insane stuff. Like, that's the whole shtick.
Saw movies.
That's
more of a slasher.
Yeah, kind of thing. I honestly get a kick out of the Saw movies, even knowing they're not like the best movie ever
Dude,
made.
the first
they're fun to like. It's such a fun movie.
The first few Saw movies are fucking awesome. They're so
fun.
creative, and the twists in what they do, they just get off the walls deeper down.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't really watched the newer ones. I think I stopped at 5, and then there's like I think there's 10 right now. I think Saw 10 just came out.
I haven't even seen. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 different Saw movies. I just haven't gone out of my way to see it.
No.
Same with like the Final Destination movies. It's literally just
fun.
How can we think of the craziest ways to kill people? That's all. That is the concept of the entire thing, and they just get to do the coolest, funniest stuff.
The Final Destination ones are awesome. Those ones are like good bad to me.
Yes, because it can be cheesy and totally corny, and sometimes like CGI is like not good at all.
Yeah,
but it is really funny to watch. Like, what's the one? There's one where a dude is on, or is it a chick? Something about a tanning bed, the tanning bed thing. And then she like gets left in the tanning bed. I've seen one where a dude's doing like acupuncture and then falls off the bed, so he like lands on all of them. And it's like,
oh, I don't remember that one.
That is so. I doubt that ever happens like that, but if it did, that's terrible.
The classic log coming out of the truck, but the tanning bed one I will always remember freaked me out because that one had to have been like 1 or 2. Because I was young when I watched.
Seems
that.
plausible.
And it's just a 2x4 falling and like jamming up the bed.
That's all it is.
Gets roasted.
She's like freaking out.
Fucking hell, yeah. She gets kind of smoked. I kind of want to watch a Final Destination.
Yeah, the one I know I've seen the most is it starts with the roller coaster ride. That's what they don't go on because the guy or one of the kids has a premonition, seeing the thing crash, and he's like, I don't want to get on. I don't want to do it. So they cheat death. And it's all, and like the roller coaster crash is insane. It like just goes straight off the tracks and just wrecks everyone that's on it. But for whatever reason, that one sticks with me because I remember seeing it as a kid, I think, and it probably at a certain age where I like watched the crash and I was like, that's a lot of people that just died. Okay.
Final Destination is such a fun concept. Like, hey, a guy has a premonition, gets people off of whatever thing they were all going to die in, and then they start dying in order of how they were going to die on the thing they were in, and it's like supernatural.
The idea,
just barely.
The idea of cheating death is cool.
Yeah, and like death is coming and chasing you forever.
And
that's
like
the end of the.
How do you stop it? Most of them end with, "Oh shit, we didn't end it."
Yeah, it just is always going to chase you.
I think that one ends with the main guy who saw the premonition and made it to the end of the movie, and they think it's over. He's on a plane. And of course, the last thing that happens is like he's watching the engine like go out on the plane that he's on, and you're like, okay.
So I follow. Oh, I forget what his actual Instagram handle is, but it's just like the movie man or something. It's like the movie man because I think he couldn't get the movie man. But he was doing one of the craziest plot twists of all time, and I think it might be this one because the first Final Destination is them on the plane, and they get them all off the plane, and then you watch that roller coaster one. And he comes back, and it turns out plot twist. This has been taking place in the time like an older movie because that movie came out. Because that one came out more recently, and that one came out. Final Destination came out in like the early 2000s or something. Yeah. And you come back, and there's little hints in it that you would kind of pick up on. You'd see, their phones are 5 to 10 years older. Like there's different signs that say a date that's really tiny back here or something. And then he gets on the plane, and he sees the engine crashing, and then it pans up to the cast of the people from the first movie saying, I got to get off the plane or whatever, all that shit.
That makes sense.
Like,
it's
a pretty sick plot
someone
twist.
who hasn't like seen all of them and wouldn't even know. That's a cool way to connect them if I were to watch them and be like, oh shit, so this was not for nothing technically.
It's a fun plot twist.
Yeah, this was a good way to go through it. Have you watched The Penguin now?
No.
Dude, I had a feeling you were gonna say that. No. That is brutal.
I haven't been able to, dude. I've either not been home or Sydney's been over every night, and we just haven't watched The Penguin.
Slacking.
So
no.
I know. There's 2 episodes now.
I know, and I think.
Give me a little rundown of them.
I won't
don't have to tell me what they're about necessarily, just how you felt. Give me a little.
I won't try to spoil considering you haven't seen. But episode 4 is a lot. It's like all Sophia. It's like hardly no penguin.
Dope. I like that character development.
But still, like probably my favorite episode of the season so far. You're gonna get
Have you watched 5?
Yes.
Okay.
5 is still very good, but 4 was so good. Like episode 4 just on its own, I could watch that and be like, what show is this? If I didn't know, and I would want to watch it because of how good it is. They are setting up so much for the second half now. Like, we're in it. We are fully in it.
We're in the shit.
I love the pacing of this show.
They're going to let us down like Hot D.
They've gotten all the characters out of the, like, we know their backstories. We know everyone's backstory. You know how we got to where we are, and it helps so much to know. Episode 3 leaves off on
them leaving her.
Vic and Oz busting it, or Vic comes in, saves the day.
Yeah.
Oz gets in, and he's like, fucking leave her. Leave her.
Still
so you'll...
Amazing ending.
You will get, like, there's a reason that is happening so abruptly in that episode. And it's,
I'm sure.
And you're like, whoa. Yeah. You're like, damn, we just left her? I thought we were on her side kind of thing, and she's with us. There's a lot. All of episode 4 leads, basically, the end of episode 4 goes back to that moment. And you're like, oh, yikes.
It makes sense because they did one of those TV show things where they, like, Oz and Sophia are out there talking. They have this heartfelt moment. It cuts to them just pulling up in the van and then holding him at gunpoint.
It's very fast.
Yeah, and then it cuts to Vic.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to Vic looking at them being talked to, and like things are being said and stuff happened off screen that we didn't see, and then he goes in and hits them. And so I'm assuming there's some stuff said maybe between Sophia and Oz.
The biggest thing is there are things that are said that we didn't see that you will see.
Yeah, you could kind of tell by the framing of that.
Crucial things are said. Crucial. That completely changed that entire moment into where it goes to when Oz gets.
That makes sense.
Fuck it, leave her. We got to go.
I can see where that's going.
Sure. Like that is such a baseline of what episode 4. It's just you're getting a lot of more backstory in I think the coolest way possible. You get a look at Arkham because you're going to see a little bit of Sophia's like actually going through Arkham, and they do not hold back. Like it is really.
Is it fucked up?
It's fucked up.
Oh, let's go.
It's fucked up.
It's gonna be sick.
So like you get.
I don't watch the trailers either for next.
No,
episodes.
Me either. Yeah. And I love. I've done that with all HBO shows now because I've learned they ruin it for me.
They give you long trailers.
They do way
1 hour episodes.
They show me too many moments where I know characters are supposed to be together, so now I'm waiting for that moment to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I like just being like, whoa, when is this going to end? What's going to happen? I don't know. So yeah, I don't watch them, and it's even better because I go in being like, what the fuck is this episode going to be about? Here we go.
Yeah.
And episode 5 is picking up right after now. Technically, episode 3 is ending. Episode 4 backstory. Episode 5.
Episodes 4 all backstory.
Literally.
Oh, okay.
All backstory. Yet the very end pushes past. But again, no Oz. It's just Sophia. Mm-hmm. Episode 5 is now. We're in like sides are set. There are players at hand. Everyone knows where we're standing, and we've established the lines very clearly.
I'm excited to see what kind of like action in like a war and fight kind of looks like in this show.
Episode 5 brought some heat. With episode 5 has multiple moments where I was like, damn. One in particular that for sure I thought was done so well. I wish you'd seen it so I could talk about it. But there is one moment in episode 5. All the episodes have something, but specifically 5 where there's just something that happens where I was like, even in the moment it happened, I was like, okay, all right.
I get a little worried with action and like fight scenes in a show like this because gun stuff, like, it's just so generic. Gunfights usually. Sometimes they do some unique stuff, like obviously John Wick. That's the top of the top.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They're just firefights are very boring to me nowadays because there's just not a lot you can do with it. It's like, okay, you hide behind cover, you shoot each other. Maybe you could do a crazy slide and blah, blah, blah. But also, Oz isn't a fighter guy. Like, he might have a gun. He might be able to roll around. Sophia, we'll see. Maybe she's some sneaky Catwoman. She could do some crazy shit. Vic doesn't know what the hell's happening. So I just don't know what action will look like in this show.
I think they've done a good job so far of, I think, realistically playing it as it would happen. Like, there are gunfights. We've seen a couple here or there, maybe. But this episode 5 has more action. And, like, I just think they don't waste time trying to, like, emphasize, like, oh, look at Penguin, like, fist fighting. He's not fist fighting.
No, he's not fist fighting.
The dude hobbles his way through things with an Uzi in his hand and literally hobbles up and just, like, pokes around a corner and is like...
Watching him fight when he does shoot people, though, like when he set up the car crash thing and he just walks by that guy and he's just hobbling and he just goes and just keeps hobbling.
I think they do.
About the way he moves.
They do really good. It's more it's the setup of the environment of the gunfight that is allowing for good things to happen versus the actual gunfight. Because there's always something else at play, whether it's we know someone who should or shouldn't be here is here, or Oz is playing a side that he should or shouldn't be playing, so things are going to go awry. It's always done, I think, with a nice just, I don't know, what's the right word? Flavor to it. It's not what I want to say, but
it works.
That it's all believable. I just like that the Penguin is believable to me. It's like, this dude seems so, this is how this guy acts.
That's people's biggest thing about the Batman universe. And I know obviously this doesn't have anything to do with Batman, but the people love Batman as a superhero because he's grounded.
Yeah, it was
one of the
way more grounded versions of Batman we've had, for sure.
There's not superhuman aspects to it until he like crosses paths with like Justice League and stuff. But even with movies, we don't have a ton of that. It's mostly just normal Batman grounded. It's why I like Iron Man. And also, Iron Man's not nearly as grounded. Well,
the first one is very.
Actually, yeah, that's not true. I guess I was just thinking about more of Iron Man once he starts crossing paths with everybody. But Iron Man in his trilogy, very grounded. If somebody could make a suit, because Batman has a crazy suit too. But yeah, that's why I like Iron Man, and I just like Tony Stark more as a character than Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's too emo, gothic, depresso.
That's the one thing,
especially this Batman.
Yeah, the biggest complaint I heard about this Batman was people being like, his Bruce Wayne was not that much, and I was like, I can agree with that. I don't think I knock the movie for it. I'm like, if we have multiple movies, I still liked what we saw, and I actually liked the Bruce Wayne we saw because I think it was supposed to be subdued. Like,
it was definitely purposeful.
I don't think we were supposed to see a lot of Bruce. That was the point. We weren't supposed to see a lot of Bruce. We were seeing more Batman because Bruce doesn't even hardly have a way to exist in that Gotham. We saw it. He's just like a fucking mopey dude who sits in the manor so people think and just is like a guy. Like, he's not the playboy. He is not the Christian Bale hosting these lavish parties at his place with all these people there flaunting the money to make sure people understand he's Bruce Wayne. He doesn't really give a fuck right now. He's like locked. He's like locked into Batman. Yeah, I think and that kind of
is Batman.
It feels like the point is to be like, there wasn't a lot of Bruce Wayne because he doesn't feel like he has the chance, I think, to be Bruce Wayne that much. He feels a pressure to be the Batman like 24/7
because he's so traumatized and emo, and my parents died.
Yeah. That's the one thing. It makes sense why they went for Robert Pattinson. Is he's like, he can look big. He's a broad, stocky guy, but if anything, he plays the like emo, like disheveled guy, like, oh, I'm down on my luck.
And he actually does it great in this show, which I keep going, or sorry, that movie, and I just cannot believe how bad the Twilight movies are. They're so fucking bad. I hate.
It's more the writing.
Oh, it is, because Robert Pattinson is a good actor. I think he is awesome in Tenet. I think he's awesome as the Batman.
It's one of his first movies. I mean, there needed to be some room to grow. He's not perfect in that movie by any means.
But everybody is ass.
Yeah.
Those movies are just terrible.
Anna Kendrick's in that movie, in those movies.
She's fine. She's a side character.
I've never thought Taylor Lautner I don't think he's a good actor.
He's not.
I've never thought that.
Although he was in a parkour movie I watched, like when I was really into parkour in like 2016.
Well, he's probably good at parkour, I hope.
And it was sick. I loved it. It was such a bad movie, but I loved it.
Yeah,
it was just fun to watch him do it.
Even him in the Twilight movies, I remember seeing him as the character, and I'm like, it just doesn't work, buddy. You're so like,
none of them work.
Pretty boy Hollywood. It looks very Hollywood, I think, which doesn't help sometimes. But maybe
it's so brooding, standing in the rain with your shirt off, and like, oh, I want to kiss you, and I'm gonna stand over you like this.
Very young adult novel to a T. Like too much, where it's a bit overboard in so many ways.
But that's okay because that's what that's supposed to be. I've read a little bit of the books, and like from what people have said, that's what it is. It's a love triangle, stupid bullshit. I watch it because I like vampires and think they're cool. Twilight vampires are not cool. There's not enough lore. It's cool when they introduce the Coven and all that stuff, but blah, blah, blah. It is the acting. It is the blocking of how characters stand. It's how characters talk. It's how characters look and feel. They're all cringy and uncomfortable and not good, and I hate it. And I know now it's not the actors necessarily, because Kristen Stewart is a pretty good actress too. I wouldn't say she's like great, but she's definitely has some range.
She's not bad.
Yeah, she's not what she is in the Twilight movies.
No.
And Robert Pattinson, I think he is actually pretty good, and he does really good in the Batman, like I was bringing up. But this is just a little nitpicky bullshit. But one of my complaints about the Batman movie was that Robert Pattinson plays that like brooding hero detective character, where people, just a normal cop, good guy, he's like, Hey man, what are you doing here? Do you need help with anything? Oh yeah, this is that thing, and he says nothing to them ever. Ever. He's like just trying to be helpful, just trying to do their jobs, trying to solve problems, and he just walks by everybody like they're not even there. And I know that's part of his character. He's supposed to be emo brooding. He's in his zone, blah blah blah. But I just hate that. I'm like, I don't know. It just annoys me. It's stupid.
I think
it's a very stupid nitpicky.
My only way I could try to
do that.
Like reason with why they do that is probably because Batman's very aware that he's not on the side of the cops. Only Gordon is his man. Him and Commissioner Gordon are bros.
Yeah,
and he's got his back. But I think he just doesn't even want to be considered on the same level as any of these guys. Like selfishly and for good reasons. Like I think as much as the cops hate, like, oh, Batman just gets to walk into any crime scene and he gets all the evidence. It's like, well, are you the one out there doing it? It's like, no. But at the same time, you cannot say that's not frustrating as someone who's like paid to do this job. And they're like,
and if you are a good cop who's trying to help, but Batman's just
this guy who's literally a masked vigilante, if you want to get down to it, that's how they would see him, is they're like, he's just some dude out there. We don't even know who he is. We're just trusting in some person who we hope is good. I love that aspect of the movie, though. I think it's cool. I don't deny, like, it is annoying sometimes where he just looks at them just like...
Again, it makes sense for what he is, and it makes sense in the movie. It is purely just a nitpicky thing where I have where it's like, oh, cool guy walks into the room and he cannot answer or talk to anybody at all.
Yeah, it's a power move to just be like,
yeah.
I don't even talk to you.
Yeah.
I only talk to Gordon.
Yeah.
He's the only person. Even if you're asking me a question and I'm going to answer the question, I'll answer it to Gordon. Like
again, it does make sense, and I don't consider it a flaw of a movie. It is just a Reed doesn't like this thing.
I feel,
it just annoys me.
That's like I can't think of off the top of my head, but if you're to name a bunch of other movies, even movies I love, I can still find things where I'm like, but why did they do that?
Like, it's awesome when it's in a comedy. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well,
but when you're actually being serious and this dude is just not, you little bitch. That's all I think. What other movies has Robert Pattinson been in?
I've watched some weird ones. There's one called something time. In Time. No, that's Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that movie was actually cool. Is that the one where you lose life?
Is that About Time or In Time or something time?
I don't know. Is that the one where they use their time as currency?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I've never actually watched it.
That movie's pretty sick.
Good Time. Good Times? I don't know. But that's the one that Robert Pattinson's in. It was like a Benny Safdie movie. The guys who did Uncut Gems.
And Uncut Gems, man. What a movie.
I'll say, but Robert Pattinson's got range for sure. If you've ever... Yeah. He's got a new one coming out where he's doing a crazy sounding voice compared to his normal voice. Like, he's got some wild characters he's played. He was in that Netflix movie, The Devil All the Time. Is that what it was called?
I feel like I saw... I feel like I have seen a trailer at least relatively recently, or a little
he was
bit
a bad
ago.
guy. He's like a church guy, and he's like the bad church guy.
Yeah,
not the good one.
Oh, like a pedophile?
Yeah, nice. The not good in any way kind.
Did he play a serial killer?
Probably.
No, actually, I think that was just Zac Efron, and then the Quicksilver guy.
Oh, yeah.
Who
American Horror Story guy? I don't know.
Yeah, the Quicksilver guy who played Jeffrey Dahmer.
What is that dude's name? I know it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of it.
But he's awesome.
He was big for like a solid few years. I feel like he was the one actor like everyone wanted, and now I haven't heard about him since.
Well, I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer was pretty recently. I think that was only last...
True.
No, actually, I bet that was a couple years ago now.
I
think it was a big deal when it came out.
I didn't watch that.
I only watched a couple episodes of it.
And I think I didn't because of it. It's definitely a little of the pessimistic, like everyone was like, did you watch Dahmer? And I'm like, no. And I never really had an interest to, but it felt weird how many people were asking me about it and how many people were like,
yeah, it was like a Tiger King level.
And they were like, isn't it crazy how he did this, but like this or that? And I was like, all I could hear in my head was, I was like, are we sympathizing for Jeffrey Dahmer right now? Like, are we finding a way to humanize a guy? Like, I had people coming up to me who were like, I mean, it's just crazy. I never knew this and that about him. Like, that's fine. It is weird when we have all these documentaries that come out about people where you're like, hey, there were some humanizing moments in the show that tried to be like, hey, yes, he is still a human being who's not like, he's a human being to some level, but
no.
Then again,
I don't.
It's like, yeah, no.
No, all I thought about in that is like, oh my god, this is so much more fucked up than I thought. Because there's things where like he doesn't have a good relationship with his parents and he's like an alcoholic and stuff. I'm like, yeah, so is fucking everybody.
So
like,
so many other people that aren't like killing others,
chopping people up and putting them in a barrel in their apartment and just killing black people and trying to have sex with them. It's very It is. It's just fucked.
It's power too. It's like all power. It's very interesting. When did I hear this? I watched a video or something about people talking about like, I don't know what the video was or how I got onto it, but basically just talking about like sexual predators get nothing, not nothing, but when they have like sexual predators, yes, sex is in the word, but it's not about the sex, it's about the power. Like they don't get off on having sex with this girl. They get off on manipulating this girl to do what they say. And it's like, that's P. Diddy. That's like what we're watching is like, how many people are going to be in this? That's why it happened. P. Diddy loved having all the top of the top people at his house. And he's like, yeah, boy, this is me. This is my fucking thing.
Just covered in baby oil.
I get to do this shit. Everyone comes to me to do it. Sure, he's fucking and doing crazy shit there. But I definitely am in the boat of like, it's not even about the sex. It's not even about the weird freaky things. It's about the power. It's about the like, no, I got that thing over in blackmail.
So what's up with CEOs wanting to get like dominatrixed or whatever then? Like, do they have too much power? And
I think it's a reverse.
Push and pull.
That's a reverse. That's the guy who's only, he's got everything. You can literally tell everyone
Stressed
in your life
out.
what to do. What would he want? He wants someone in his life who's going to look at him and be like, you little pussy. You fucking idiot. You can't fucking do it, can you?
I just think of, because Joe Rogan brings it up fairly often, and he always goes straight to like, yeah, these CEOs just love to get fucking kicked in the nuts by some hot chick in lingerie. And I just picture that happening. I'm like,
there's a reason.
That shit reminds me of The Boys, except The Boys takes it to like superhuman level powers. And I'm like, oh my God, that's stuff that's happening right now. It's ridiculous.
For sure, though, that is a direct, I would think like, yeah, you have everything. What would be cool is, well, I want a scenario that's safe for me, but I get that feeling of it's kind of not. But I know it is, right? Like, that's fucking weird. Yeah. But that is totally a thing, and the human brain works in ways for people that have that kind of power, money, and everything. Like, I can't understand that. I cannot understand that.
Got me tearing up a little bit. It's just getting CEOs getting kicked in the fucking nuts. It's just picturing that in my head. There's just something so like that should only be in a comedy movie, but it's a real thing that happens.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, if anything, it's more prevalent because with the internet, we just know more, so we know people are doing it, as opposed to we just didn't know people were doing that as much as they were.
That's why all these people are coming. Like, you got the Bill Cosbys and the Harvey Weinsteins, and you got the P. Diddy's. What's the other big one that I'm missing? But they're all
Epstein.
Yeah, Epstein. Not that one's a little bit different. Yeah, his is just like, his scale of his is like just beyond all the rest of them. It's like crazy.
Well, that's like I think why I would say is like some people like, whoa,
that was
weird.
Bad.
They're like, wouldn't you get tired of sex? And I'm like, it's not about that. This dude is like, he's not fucking every single girl that walks onto the island or every single person. He's just, when he is probably at like the dock or something with the boat, and he watches them come up and he goes, check, and he walks back to his place. And he does what he wants to do.
Just be evil villain and just watch everything happen from a balcony.
Like, literally. I think that's how it is.
As long as you know that it's happening.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. That's so weird.
But what I was getting at with the social media thing is like, yeah, we just see all these things, and all these things are coming out because there's so many people that have a voice and a potential. Like, social media does have good things, but I don't know. I go back and forth every day whether or not it outweighs the good and the bad.
Everything in moderation, which is almost near impossible for us to do. I think sometimes with social media, especially the way the companies that own these sites and things push out how the apps and sites work. They're made with algorithms.
Negativity gets clicks.
They're made with an idea of, let's put things out there that people look at and they get a little riled up about, and they get a little crazy about, and they feel a need to want to interact with it.
I've got did you? Oh, that was close.
You had to.
It's on your hat. Little bitch.
Fucker.
I've gone out of my way to follow, like, I've got my social media feed down pretty good. I follow 2 news things, and they're pretty non-biased news things where they just give you objective news and just tell you what's happening. And then all the rest of my feed, like, I've gone out of my way to follow Instagram pages that are good news. I follow one that's just like a good news movement. It's just like good, happy, fun stories.
No bad.
Yeah. A little bit of bad because, I mean, I just want to know like kind of what's happening just to be aware. So like that objective news source that I follow called Ride the News, if you want to go follow them, they're awesome. But they go out of their way to try to post non-biased content that will just give you the facts of what is happening. It's so crazy that they just keep flying.
Just chilling on the mic.
Try to flick it. Go up close and flick it. That's how I get the flies. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now.
I did. He's still kicking. But I got him.
Little bitch. Yeah. But yeah, so I've gone out of way to curate my feed to not be too bad. So I don't have, it's mostly just my friends and some cool pages that I like to follow. A lot of food stuff.
Yeah. What I follow is pretty clean. It's just like memes and then like drummers if I want some drummers that I follow. And then just, more or less good stuff, not bad stuff. But it's funny. All I have to do is go look at the stories posted by all the people I do follow. That's where I see it all. And that's, I think what's funnier is I go on stories and it's like, I'm just getting blasted by people I know. I'm like, don't care.
I'm glad that I got out of it too, because I remember, and you don't even know because you're a kid, like when I was first getting social media, I was 13, 14, 15. Yeah. And so I was just following everything that I would like want to watch. And so that would naturally, as they figured out the algorithms, would just turn into a bunch of negative, horrible shit. And so at some point, like probably end of college, I started just unfollowing all that and swapping it. And now social media is a lot better. Still a lot of doom scrolling and nonsense on there, but I have TikTok, I have Twitter. I don't have much of a following on there. I don't post. I go on Twitter a couple times a month maybe, I go on TikTok just to post videos for this stuff.
I don't.
And
have
then
TikTok.
And then I go on Facebook just to either. Honestly, even when I go on Facebook, I don't really do anything. I kind of just open it and then I don't even
go on Facebook.
Yeah, I just use Instagram really and Snapchat.
I just had that moment yesterday with someone telling me like, "Oh, a baby shower coming up. I invited you on Facebook, but I know you're not on there, so I'm telling you in person." I was like,
"Good.
Thank you. You know that because I don't go on Facebook ever. No, literally ever."
No, I go on there a little bit. There's some people that I like to, some older parts of my family that I like to go on there and see what they're posting and what they're up to that aren't on like Instagram.
I guess, maybe I could be like a nicer person and go on there to do the thing it's for and like check up and be like, what are people up to? But then,
it's okay to be selfish.
Then again, I'm like, I don't care. I
don't give a fuck.
I don't give a flying fuck, baby. I got better things to do. But Facebook I should delete, but then again, it's one of those apps that I feel like if you get rid of it, that's the one time I'll, for whatever reason, it's like I need it. Someone had to get a hold of me or I needed to see something for whatever reason. That's not even going to happen because I don't use it and haven't had that moment, but it feels like it if I get rid of it.
Facebook's nice because I have like over the probably over a decade now of having it. I've just, you got quite a few friends on there, so it's good for posting the podcast and stuff. Same with Instagram. So that's pretty much, now I think about it, because I was trying to think, I was like, I do open Facebook, but what the fuck do I open it for? I was like, oh, I've been opening it to post.
I don't even know why I'm on there.
I'm on YouTube 4 to 5 hours a day.
YouTube is
it's egregious.
It's the GOAT, though.
Yeah. And YouTube that keeps me from watching stuff, which kind of sucks. Usually I watch stuff about stuff. Like, I was definitely watching YouTube when I could have been watching The Penguin, and I just forgot about The Penguin. I was just watching YouTube.
I do have to tell myself to get off of YouTube to do or watch something else that's not YouTube.
Yeah. And every time I do it, most of the time that I do it and I watch something, like if I watch Lord of the Rings or if I watch The Penguin or if I watch... I don't know, some other shit. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. I always forget how much I love TV and movies. And then I go on YouTube, and some of it's good content and fun, but it's mostly YouTube content's a lot more nonsense.
I get
Well, actually, maybe it's not a lot more nonsense. There's just way more on YouTube, so the chance for nonsense.
Well, like more. Any video that starts with, "Hey guys, I'm off." Like if you're
what do you mean?
Like if you're the type of person who's about to explain to me the video I just clicked on in the first minute and why I clicked on it, like, "Hey guys, what's up? I'm so and so, and this is the video about doing this. So today, what we're gonna do," and it's like
intros.
It's like I literally clicked on the video because I know who you are. I looked at the channel and I want to watch the video. All right, cool. There's so many people so many people on YouTube that make videos just to hear themselves. It's funny to say we make a podcast and put it on there. It's just us talking.
My YouTube videos.
But some people, I swear to God,
I don't listen to mine.
They are on there just to make something and have it be put out just so they can listen to it back to be like, God, that's so cool. God, I'm so
yeah,
smart.
I don't know. Like, I feel cringe about
it's so
about
weird.
every video, every
it's
podcast
weird.
that I upload because it is weird, but I like it and I like to talk about it. So that's why I made my initial videos about just reviewing movies because I like fucking movies.
It'd be different. Yeah, like this whole thing would be different if we like, I don't know, honestly, if we ended up having some structure to it and we're like, all right, here's today's stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, fuck no, I don't know.
I've definitely thought not structure, but I've definitely thought like, oh, there's
Bringing
some news.
stuff in.
There's some news things I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's some cool movie stuff. Like I was thinking about even today. I was like,
yeah.
I want to look at the slate of movies that's coming out this year and see what I want to go watch. And like we could write a list because then we could actually like try to watch it for later and it'd be fun. It'd be fun to do on the podcast because then we could see what we'd be excited about and see what's coming out.
Yeah.
But it still wouldn't even be much structure. Like it would still would be us talking about nonsense for the first 30 minutes.
Well, it's funny because it's like I think of the guys like the kind of funny guys.
Yeah.
I'll watch some of their stuff on games that I want to get an opinion on and hear what they have to say.
They're very structured.
Oh my God, I can't stand having to skip through however much of the first parts of their videos just to get to what I want to hear.
And there's no time. Well, they do.
They
have
all.
time
What's the
sometimes,
thing they
but
do at the start of every video?
The rigmarole.
I fucking hate it. It's
Yeah.
like
And
Greg.
it's so long. Greg
yes,
is so long.
Greg has to say like a bajillion things that I literally do not fucking care about at all. And he's just mouthing, and then on to the next guy. Oh, there's 5 dudes on this panel. They all have to say something. It's like, just tell me about the game.
Yeah,
just tell me.
It's tough because they're so structured and so like, and it's only gotten worse over the years because they're just the bigger you get and the more you do, the more shit that you have.
You have to be structured. Kind of.
Their housekeeping and rigmarole is just them telling us about what's happening in the company, and they do it on every video to try to promote.
Yeah,
which makes sense, but at some point it's too long. So do you listen to the Kind of Funny podcast at all? That one?
Not regularly. If I did, it's just clips.
So this thing that bothers me so much, where they will go in and just kind of rant like we do at the beginning. You know, that's one of my favorite things. Just come in and just start talking about whatever. It's the Rogan style. I want to have a little bit of structure where we just, you know, if we have something we want to talk about, we come in and talk about it, whether it's news, movies, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They will go in and they will start just talking like we did. And then always, whether it's 20 minutes in, whether it's a fucking hour into the podcast, or it's almost then, and he's like, and then Greg will be going, and they'll just be talking. He's like, if you didn't know, this is the Kind of Funny podcast, so welcome to the podcast. If you want to follow us on this and that, and here are Patreon producers, and then it's like 5 minutes of him just talking about. I'm like, dude, you're just eliminating the flow of this podcast that I'm trying to listen to.
Killed the vibe.
And luckily, I'm so locked in with them, and I've been following them since the beginning. I am so invested now. We're like, I'm not going anywhere. Even when they like just said that, when they got all deep with politics stuff and said like, if you vote for Trump or if you're a Republican, you were not a part of the Kind of Funny community. All that stuff. I was like, God, I'm like 19. I don't even know what's going on. I just annoyed.
Bro, just trying to watch your YouTube channel.
Yeah. And so I mean, I was luckily just invested enough and like a decent amount of people on there enough to where I still do watch them pretty consistently, but I don't watch. They put out so much content now.
Yeah, they just have so much that I can't keep up. So I watch every now and then just the things I want to, which I like. I still watch and go out of my way when I see a video game that comes out or something they're talking about. I'm like, I'll listen. I really like a few of the guys specifically. Like, I love Andy. I think Andy's awesome. I feel like he actually really plays a game and takes his time to make sure he understands what he thinks about it.
You should watch his streams. They're pretty funny.
I feel like I may have it once.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
But yeah, I love Andy, and I hate Blessing. I don't know why. I cannot stand that guy.
That's just how podcast things are, though, because there's this guy. Did you watch them when Jared Petty was on their channel at all?
I feel like I recognize that name, but like I don't really know.
Jared Petty was this very fun-loving, very awesome, bubbly, teddy bear-loving kind of dude, and he would just get ripped the fuck apart in comments, and people hated this guy. And I was like, God, dude, this sucks, because he's not even saying, he's the nerd of the nerds. So he's so nerdy and knows about all these very tiny niche, just very remote kind of games, and he really likes his very nerdy like anime stuff and blah blah blah, and I wouldn't know what he's talking about most of the time, but he is so nice and genuine and friendly, and he would just get ripped apart, and it was just like, I was like, God, why? They're like, fuck Jared Petty, why is he on here? He's just so like, it's like people were angry that he was like positive. Like, it was definitely one of those
wild
things, which half those people are probably bots anyways. That's why it's just so much more annoying.
Also true.
But yeah, he would just get ripped apart, and I was like, I didn't it wasn't that I didn't like him, but I just never really cared about what he's talking about because of what he was interested in. But I never at one point thought I would comment to this guy that I didn't like him. I never thought about putting something negative out there at all. If anything, I thought about saying nice stuff because he was getting roasted because he's such a nice dude.
Yeah.
I was like, God, I just feel bad for this dude.
Yeah, and that's like, you put yourself out there and put stuff on the internet.
And
you're like, damn, that's all. You can only do so much, which sucks. But I think that's it's what we were talking about when we went and had like breakfast after pickleball, that kind of stuff. Like, you put yourself behind a screen and I don't have to see you say it. Man, people are so willing to go out of their way to be a little more testy than normal.
Oh,
like,
yeah. A lot more testy.
Holy shit, people will say the wildest stuff online just because they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. And I try to keep that in mind pretty much every day. Because now that we have the podcast and we're actually trying to do it, and it's been pretty consistent now. It's been like a month and a half. I think this is episode 6 or 7.
Something like that.
So it's pretty consistent. If something ever happened, and especially when you're listening to Rogan so much, because he says this all the time, turn off the comments, don't pay attention to the comments, don't read the comments, which I will in the beginning because
we just have our friends.
Right now, it's just our friends. Every once in a while, I get a random person that I don't know who's actually a new subscriber, and somebody will say something. But if it ever got to the point where like it's at scale and it's like, you can't even go and read all the comments, just turn them off. Well, don't turn them off, but don't go and read them at all. Yeah. Just completely cancel it out. Know that people are going to say fucked up shit about you no matter what you do. It doesn't matter how good of a person of you
I come in and I'm like, I'm a little not that shaved up and not that clean looking. It's like, that's all it would take for someone to be like, that dude looks homeless.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I know.
I'm bald.
Yeah.
I'm bald and tubby and I'm 27. I'm going to get roasted.
There's so many things I know people could look at me and be like, fuck him for that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. But
yeah, fuck me for that.
Yeah, fuck me for that, baby. Come on. And it's like, yeah, I just don't fucking care anymore. I mean, let's be real. The main thing stopping me from wanting to do this at the get-go was the idea of, damn, so there's just going to be like videos of me saying stuff out on the internet. That's a little weird. I'm not like totally used to that at times, where I could have someone who knows me that doesn't know I do this potentially be on YouTube and be like, what the, Cody and Reed, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, and I think that I like that now.
I think it's hilarious.
I like that now. I used to be like, I don't know how I feel about it, but that is just my own insecurities. And like, obviously I've been coming here now every time, haven't missed one. It's like, I just don't really care anymore. I don't care what people think.
It's fun.
Yeah. I'm literally saying my opinions, which if you can't take it as my opinion, that's on you. All these things are just like straight up talking movies and stuff. Like, it's the most low level. I don't care. Well, I do care. I love movies, but inconsequential. And like, if we happen to be talking about other stuff, it's just like, yeah, if you don't agree, I don't really care. Come.
I
fight
think,
me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I told you when I recorded my first video. I drank like 2 White Claws and it took me 2 hours of sitting at my desk just looking at the camera. I was like, I don't know how to do this. And that video was horrible. It looked horrible. I talked very slow, very quiet, and well, actually, I think I talked very fast because I talk very fast.
Doing it alone,
it was just terrible.
Doing it alone sucks. I would think like it's way harder to do something alone like this compared to having just someone else, anyone else.
You don't have stuff to bounce off.
It's massive.
But those videos are supposed to be really short, quick reviews, like Chris Stuckman and is it Stuckman? Struckman. I don't know. Doesn't matter. And Jeremy Johns. Yeah, just those guys. I like that. I like being able to just go off the riff and talk about one on there. Actually, that leads me to what I watched. So I did end up watching something. Again, I think I just forgot about the fucking Penguin. I don't know how because we talk about it fairly often.
Yeah.
But I went and tried to watch The Substance after we were talking about it at breakfast. So Dylan has this streaming thing on our TV, allegedly. And
very allegedly.
Yeah, very allegedly. And you can get pretty much anything that's on there, stuff that's in theaters. And there's this really cool thing. I don't know if I told you about this, but you can watch AI-enhanced old movies.
I think
which is fucking sick. We watched Independence Day, and I came out, and then Dylan had it playing. I was like, what? This looks weird. What's going on with this? He's like, it's an AI-enhanced version. So it looks like more 4K. It updates the visuals. It looks just way better. And I was like, this is sick.
Just looks crispy.
Yeah, it's really dope. So I went on there, and The Substance wasn't on there. I was like, God damn it, man! This thing has like everything, and it doesn't have this crazy ass movie I wanted to watch. It is a bit more niche. It's a little bit smaller, but it has. So what I did watch was The Wild Robot, which is still in theaters, and so I ended up watching that because I couldn't watch The Substance because it was the next recommended thing on there. The movie was good.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, I mean, it lived up to the hype. we talk about crying and all what we were talking about at breakfast and stuff. And this movie had me tearing up most of the time. I was like, this movie is just so cute and fun. I loved it. Get that bitch.
Oh, he's gone now. I was about to.
Yeah.
How long was it?
Hour 47.
Okay.
So sub 2 hour movie, sub 2 hour animated movie.
When what age group is it really like geared at?
Dude. So that was the thing about watching this. There's surprising like gore is not the right word, but of animals getting murked and dying and like things being killed. Because basically the premise of the movie, I think you already kind of know, but a robot, you learn in the movie, which I don't know if you get much from the trailer. I don't know. I only watched that one that I said was terrible. It's about a service robot that ends up crashing on an island. There we go.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh,
now.
that fucking hurt.
He's gone.
But I got him. We got to fly, everybody.
Well, kind of.
Mission accomplished.
Halfway, but he's gone.
So it's about a robot that falls on an island. And its job is just to, kill that thing or flick it off. It's bothering me. It's just tweaking there.
I like watching him suffer.
Oh, my God, you fucking menace.
Where did he go? Who knows?
He went down there. He's gone
nice.
into the abyss. Robot lands on an island. And then it it ends up wanting to help all the animals. Because that's like what its job is. Its job is to complete tasks. Anyways, it just gets roasted and all these animals are fucking with it and all this stuff happens. And then the robot, it's actually a really cool scene because the robot goes into activating learning mode and it just sits down on the island. And it just shows the robot over a time lapse. I don't know of how long, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it ends up learning the language and the dialect of all the animals. So it can speak to all the animals. And I was like, that is a cool way for it to learn how to speak to animals because they actually think they're going to be able to do that with AI, that we're going to learn like dolphins and whales languages, which is pretty sick. So seeing that in this movie was pretty dope. So now it can talk to all the animals. Now it's talking to the animals, still trying to help them. They're all still basically trying to tell them to fuck off. And all the animals are messing with the robot. Robot falls off a cliff, lands on a little cliff edge down below. Kills, and it shows this bird like smushed, and it like lifts up its arm. It's like just a dead bird that it just smushed. Also, it shows like carnivore animals eating other animals and stuff. Like,
nice.
It's not like gory, like I said, but it's like, oh, this is a kid's movie. It's
real.
Yeah, but in 2024, I wouldn't expect them to really do something like that. So like they're actually eating the animals and killing each other. And
like,
it's like
gay animals in there?
Yeah, a lot of butt fucking.
Let's go. All right, I'll go watch.
So yeah, go check it out. But so it falls on that nest. There's one remaining egg. The robot wants to take care of the egg. There's another fox that's a friend, ends up befriending the robot.
Hell yeah.
And the fox is like kind of trying to tell the robot what to do because the robot hasn't been learning and changing its program yet. So it has to take care of the egg, and the fox tells it that its task is to take care of this egg. So that's what the premise of the movie is that the robot's taking care of this egg hatching and growing up.
Parenthood.
Yeah. And it's very cute. It is very cute. It's heartwarming. It's fun. There's some cool action in it, surprisingly, because it ends up having to fight other robots at the end, which is pretty dope. And all the animals end up helping them. And there's just one giant bear that just fucks up some of the robots, and it's pretty sick. But the tech and the look and the aesthetic, the way the robot moves was really awesome. It has basically like Mr. Fantastic arms. It can turn into like a ball. It can move in a lot of different ways. It can like detach its hand and like go grab stuff, and like so nice. It's pretty cool. And the bird's like a runt bird, and it grows up with the robot, and the robot talks in robot voice. So this bird ends up talking like a robot.
Oh, it talks like a robot?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. He ends up learning and not talking like a robot, but he's like a little baby bird. He can't fly, he can't swim, because the robot apparently can't teach the bird how to fly and swim. But so he's just ousted from all the other geese and stuff. And then the robot ends up helping, I know, fucking assholes.
Come on, man.
Bullying him, try to drown. There's like a drowning scene. They're like pinning him underwater, and he's like suffocating and drowning underwater. I was like,
got him.
Yeah, it's like this movie's intense. And they just do a really good job of building the relationship between this fucking goose and a robot and a fox.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And the robot is just a very kind-hearted soul, and the robot ends up learning and changing its program to like finish its directive and its job, so it ends up becoming like sentient instead of just being like a robot trying to
just a task completer.
Yeah, task completer. And so they like the robots at the end try to come and take the robot back, and the robot's made friends with all the animals that used to hate the robot, and they all help them fight them in the end. And it was just very heartwarming. Everybody's relationship was built very well. You felt sad for the characters that had sad stories. You felt happy for the characters when they completed stuff, when you taught the bird how to fly, when the bird ended up migrating, and then he ends up becoming like basically Rudolph and leads the pack as the old bird that was leading him before hands a torch down. And anyways, it's dope. That was pretty fun. And It's actually really funny. There's some really funny physical humor in the movie.
I feel like humor in a kid's movie is tough, but when it's done well, it's so good.
There was some good adult humor, which DreamWorks is known for, especially with the Shrek movies, which I really need to go back and watch now that I'm adult, because I don't think I've watched them since I was in high school. Because watching the clips now of them, I'm like, oh my God, the Shrek movies are actually hilarious. They have so many meta jokes.
Shrek's like a joke a second kind of a movie, whether it's what's being said, what you're seeing, or what context. There's like so many things happening.
Yeah.
There's always a joke at someone's expense, but I think I kind of watched recently like clips of Shrek or something, and even I was just like, wow, I really forgot how many like adult humor jokes they're throwing out blatantly with. As a kid, I was just couldn't have told you anything.
Seeing those clips, and now it makes me want to go watch Shrek way more. But
it's good.
But yeah, the Wild Robot it's a really good DreamWorks movie, and the animation isn't that great. Just when it's good, but it's not Pixar. Like I saw Inside Out a few months ago, and that movie is stunning. Every Pixar movie they release is always stunning.
Pixar does go above and beyond for the quality level
and I love it.
Like it's unreal.
It makes it so much more fun to watch when they're visually pleasing as well. Because this movie looked cool and it had some cool stuff, and it definitely was a different style, but there wasn't the detail that Pixar has. But the world and the environment and the forest and the island, and even like I said, the ship and the tech, and you see you don't see humans ever, but you see, or do you? You might see like a human on a poster board or something. It's very WALL-E-esque, if like in the beginning of WALL-E-esque, before you see the humans towards
WALL-E,
the end.
I haven't watched that in a minute either, and that's
so good,
another
so heartwarming,
really good movie.
Yeah, more robot love, and
like that's such a good movie. I need to rewatch that.
So many of those Pixar movies are like 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. It's crazy.
We've lived through a good time of Pixar stuff, which I'm very happy about. We've gotten to at least live through, and even as kids experience like getting to see stuff like the first Toy Story as a kid is like
too many Toy Stories now.
Yeah, there's a lot. But even then,
they're still good.
They're still good. Yeah. Like surprisingly,
I haven't seen the 5th one.
I honestly didn't even know
maybe
there was.
Maybe that's not out, but the 4th one apparently is pretty good. Is really good too.
The one I really remembered was at least like more high school. It was Toy Story 3, right? And that's where it's like Andy goes to college. And then it ends with them like holding hands, and it's like, fuck, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, I've never seen that clip. I'm like, oh no!
I remember being in the theater too. Like everyone in the theater, you're like watching, and I remember being with friends, and we're all like, you're like the characters. You're looking around, you're like, is this it? Are we fucked? And you're like, sayonara. And then you're like, we're getting saved. Fuck yeah! Like, of course they're not gonna incinerate, but like. That was a really good moment.
Would have been sick if they just went out incinerated.
I kind of like as the ending.
Come on, Pixar.
Like some crazy shit happens where they just smoke all of them.
But
just cancel it.
Yeah, but I really really like animated movies, like especially these kind of kids animated movies. I don't know, maybe I just have such a soft spot and nostalgia for them as a kid. But as an adult, all the emotional points and stuff, they hit so much harder. So I don't know. I always end up tearing up a little bit every time I watch these. Did you see Inside Out too?
No.
The first Inside Out was really like sad because it's like the girl like
I saw the first one
being depressed that she moved out, had to move to a different city, and she's only like 10 years old, and she ends up running away, and it's like them breaking stuff down in her mind. It's like, damn, this is intense and sad. But this movie, or Inside Out 2, had something that was just totally different. They displayed a panic attack in a movie better than I think I've ever seen anything. And it's weird because they just got those stupid little emojis in her head that are like breaking down what she's thinking, because she gets new emotions when she gets puberty. It's like anxiety and depression, and then like some other stupid one. And the anxiety is like freaking out, and they're explaining what's happening to her. And then they're showing her on the outside, and you're in the theater, and the heartbeat and the way that it's playing and the way that she's moving and breathing. And it's like a several minute long scene. I'm like, oh my God, they're making me have a fucking panic attack in the theater right here. And it was really good. I was impressed by that. That's the shit that Pixar does. It's so awesome.
I need to see the second one. I will.
Yeah. That's the thing about the Wild Robot. I'd still say it's probably like an 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. Cause it's just, you can't live up to those top tier Pixar moments, because while the Wild Robot was really good and had some awesome emotional things that made me feel stuff and it was awesome, there wasn't a moment where I remember that stands out like the panic attack moment in Inside Out, or the moment where she's like sitting in an alley after she ran away from her parents' house in Inside Out 1. So that they don't, or like the intro of Up. Like there's just, they don't they don't have those scenes. And when I think back on DreamWorks movies, other than How to Train Your Dragon, which if you haven't seen all those that's like one of the GOAT trilogies, low key.
I haven't seen all of them. I've definitely seen the first one.
That's one
a
of the
few times.
That's one of the GOAT trilogies. Those movies are fucking sick. The music is awesome. The action is awesome. The relationships in those movies are awesome. It's one of those very random ones where you're like, oh, this is like great. Like that's up there in Pixar level to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, most DreamWorks stuff, it just doesn't have that. Like I don't have any of that with Shrek, and I've seen most of the Shreks many times.
They don't have the iconic like classics like Pixar does. Well, I don't know. Classic, yeah, Shrek is classic. I don't know. It's just different. You're right. Like it's different. It's not.
Different. It's not as well. I would say it's not as good.
Well, they definitely don't. DreamWorks is going for a different audience a little bit. Clearly, like Shrek is more crude.
Yeah,
it's not like it is.
Speaking of that, I think they made the Croods too.
Oh,
I think DreamWorks is the Croods.
That would make sense.
I think so.
I've heard good stuff about those too. I haven't even really seen them.
I heard they're funny.
But DreamWorks can go off a little more mature, and I think they might hurt themselves sometimes doing that. Sometimes. But
this movie definitely felt more mature, just like from the little things that I brought up.
Yeah, and then sometimes it works out really well. I don't know. It's just different. Pixar has really the people they get on their movies, the writers, the directors, the producers, everything. Like it's all at the top of the level.
It's
you
so
can
creative.
tell how good they are.
So
all
creative.
the animators are at like the literal best of the best in the world, I would almost say. They just see the animation at Pixar is untouchable.
The idea, the concept of Inside Out is fucking dope. I remember seeing that being like, what the hell is this? And I remember thinking that too about Elementals that came out, but I didn't end up seeing that. And apparently it wasn't very good for Pixar standards.
Well, even movies like Cars is such a good movie.
Yeah. Simple concept.
It's so good just because, I don't know, simple concept might just be why. It's like, why don't we just fucking make talking cars?
But it's so cool because it opens up a door for so much creative shit. Like just where you get the redneck guy being a shitty, rusty tow truck.
Yeah.
You get the electric car in the third one that's just like the cool, new, sleek, badass guy.
Yeah.
You get the fangirl twins showing their tits when they're flashing the lights in the crowd. Like that's the funniest, like just unique creative stuff like that just from one stupid little concept.
That has an iconic. Cars has a moment, at least for me, that stuck with me. I don't even know why, but this moment of the turn right to go left, I've always remembered where he learns how to drift Lightning from. What's his name? The older dude. I can't think of that guy. Doc Hudson. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, turn right to go left. And immediately like figures out how to drift. I remember as a kid, that kind of taught me how to drift. Like the concept actually makes sense.
They taught a lot of kids how to do some dangerous shit.
The logic is there where yes, like turn right to go left. You initiate,
kick the ass out.
You initiate a drift by going really hard the first way, and then you're balancing it by constantly pushing against. Yeah. So it's like, oh, that actually makes sense. And I was even as a kid, I was like, I'm pretty sure I took that to video games, and I was like, I got better at racing games. I was like, I learned. I was like, oh, drifting isn't like you said, you got to kick the tail end hella out, and then it's controlling that like in between mode. It's like drifting isn't like just sliding the back end out necessarily. It's like there's levels to it, but a movie like Cars had a way of teaching a dumb kid like me and showing it on screen in a way that actually makes sense. And is really fucking cool.
That's why movies are dope, man.
Animated movies too. Like animated movies have to go really far out of their way to make things make sense for kids. That's why Inside Out I think is crazy. You'd never have an adult Inside Out because adults wouldn't be able to like sit down, I think, and try to like comprehend it. Like they don't care. They don't want to. But kids, it's just like this different medium of being able to access that side of you didn't realize was there still kind of thing. Like parents go and watch Inside Out and they get reminded like, oh, that's right. I do have happiness. I do have sadness. I do have anger. Like I'm not just whatever I thought I was. I have all these things together. And it kind of has to be a kid's movie that does that. It kind of has to be the movie that gets you to go with your kid.
Thing you don't expect to see.
Yeah, where you're like, I guess we'll go see this. And you end up walking out having like this moment where you look at your child differently after a movie and you're like, wow, my life, there's things that are different.
Dude, I'm so excited to have kids and take them to Pixar movies when I'm older.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's nice about animation too, is there's so much more room for creativity and weirdness.
Do whatever you want.
And when you let them, it's kind of, it's a slight tangent, but it's why I think Avatar: The Last Airbender will never work as a live action show, because you just can't make it look good enough.
No.
If you try to make it look real like it does if you try to make it look like it does in the show, it's going to come off cheesy. If you try to make it grounded, it's going to look dumb like M. Night's.
Yep.
So there's just no sweet spot, because they have to be able to be a little bit superhuman. They have to be able to jump higher than a human would be able to.
Yes.
They have to be able to kick and move faster than humans would be able to, and you just can't do that without it looking dumb in live action.
Yeah, until you bring CGI in, and it's like, okay, so why are we doing live action?
But also,
what's the point?
But even when you do the CGI, it doesn't, unless you just, I don't know, I felt like Netflix would have been able to give them the money. Like, it just shows, like, the amount of money and the backing behind it, it's just not there. Like, maybe you could find the right person to do it, but, like, it does not translate. It doesn't look right.
Well, I agree that animation as an art style, like, there's a reason it exists and is its own thing, because it works specifically for what you're trying to portray on the screen. Like, you have the freedom to be like, I want my character to do a backflip over the moon. Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking draw it. Like, you can literally just, how do you see it? If you're a good enough artist, or you have the ability to tell artists who are good enough your idea and they can put that on paper, well, there you go.
I want my character to split in half to walk around a post.
Yeah,
and
like,
then reattach.
and
like, you just
the idea of
doing that
telling
in
an
live action
animator that versus a live action. Now you got to go tell your special effects department that. It's like, the cost is not even the same. The flow of work lines to get to that point is not the same. Like, there's just, everything's different.
But it's different, and then you get to appreciate the cool shit like Lord of the Rings when they make these miniatures. Then it's so sick.
When
they have to do it that way.
That do go as big as they do to make the thing that seems like it's impossible to look real, and they make it look real, and then you're like, oh, so it is possible. Someone's capable of understanding the IP or the world enough to get it to feel right.
And you still have to have the right people doing it, and you have to have the right IP. Like, I just don't think The Last Airbender will be able to do that.
No.
But the Lord of the Rings anime show looks fucking sick.
Looks sick.
I'm like, this is dope.
Yeah.
I'm in for this. And I love animation. So we'll be able to get to see some more, like, crazy action heavy Lord of the Rings, which will be fun because they'll move like anime characters.
Like some insane
more superhuman.
Yeah, just like
which will
wild.
be cool.
I'm pretty
I think it'll just be sweet. And does that come out December? That's coming out. It might come out sooner.
Yeah. Well, as far as I know too, it's a straight up movie that's going in theaters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I think it's December. Yeah, is what that showed. But dude, count me in. I'll go see that.
Yeah.
They got. I think Brian Cox was one of the voice actors. He's the main.
Let's go.
He's the main guy from Succession. He's the dad in Succession. It's like, it's all right. That's a big enough name to sign on to this project for me to take it seriously.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, they're putting money in. They're getting big names. They're not half-assing it, I would hope. And if it's going in theaters, it's like all the things where I'm like, someone's got to think this is really good, clearly, because they're putting the effort out to release it in theaters, an anime Lord of the Rings movie.
That's a bold move.
That's crazy.
That's a bold move.
That is just out of left field, if you ask me. But hey,
luckily anime is way more popular now. But if you released that 5-10 years ago, like, even me probably would be like, oh my God, anime, dude, get this shit out of my face.
Honestly, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been as apt to want to go see it. But I think having watched enough animation now and having
watched American anime now, because American anime is actually cool. Like, I just hate Japanese anime because it's so Japanese, honestly. It's just, it's the talking, it's the way they... It's just the way they go about it. It's just different.
They tell you what they did for, like, what they had for breakfast, and everyone's like, like, what? Like, Jesus Christ.
But the American anime stuff is actually really fun because the action is just really cool, and if the story's good, it's awesome.
Cyberpunk was dope. I don't know if you watched.
I watched the first episode.
Edgerunners, I actually thought was pretty dope. It can be very corny at times still, but action wise and like plot wise, super cool. Like, I also love Cyberpunk the game, and it actually takes the elements of the game that are within it and you see it on a show. So it's like, that's cool. I've done that in the game. And then vice versa, they brought stuff into the game from the show where it was like, oh, I can do that from the show now? Sick.
That game being so crazy, I think it would be pretty cool as an anime. It'd be pretty sick. I mean, that intro scene where I watched them fight in the
Cyber Psycho. It's the Cyber Psycho. The dude just shows up and they're like, you can't even kill him almost. He's so fucking cracked out of his mind. Just guns and bullets and just jacked. He's got stuff all over him.
Psycho.
Like, the ideas behind Cyberpunk I love. Like, going Cyber Psycho is when someone chromes up too much. Like, the idea of getting too many implants of things.
You're not human enough.
What are you? Are you a machine or are you human now? It's like, you've transplanted 75% of your body to be non-human. So what are you?
That concept is going to be so cool and interesting in the future. Granted, I think once people start getting robotics in them, they're just going to get hacked and their bodies will be controlled. But like, but if you get rid of that stuff, because there's always going to be some psycho out there that's going to want to do that, and then they will be able to. But anyways, that's besides what I'm getting at here is just like deciding like at what point are you still human? All you need to have is your consciousness, and if that's downloaded just into a robot, are you a human, or do you just need to have a brain?
That is,
I don't know how deep
that's a big question.
I know that's not something we have to dive into.
I don't think I could answer that.
No,
with a sure answer. But
if you got a robotic hand, you're a human.
Like, I would think in my mind, just off of thinking of it for 15 seconds, what makes you the most human? A conscience, definitely.
Yeah.
Like a functioning brain allows you to have a conscience and have thoughts and have logic and complex thoughts in general. It's like I don't know.
It's a deep one
because that's hard. It's like my logic brain is like, well, I also need my heart, but like that's actually just a blood pumping organ. Technically, like
there's no consciousness.
The core of my being does not lie within my heart. That's just actually how I live. The core of my being probably lies within my brain and my mind, whatever you call your mind or your conscience. So
I'd say you'd have to have your face too, because there's something. It's weird because all humans have, most humans have eyes and nose and mouth, but there's something that's weird where they all look different and you can see the difference. In them.
Take away your identifying features. That are.
Whereas like most dolphins all look the same.
But
when I see humans, it's like, whoa, okay, you look different.
Because I'd agree there has to be a line where if you fuck up with what's up here too much, that even happens in today's day and age though. It's like
just the plastic surgery.
Like what is, and I mean, hey, that's to each their own. But it's like I think some things look better than others, and some things definitely do not. And it's like that's, I guess, personal preference. Some people would think they look more human, where I might say, I think you look less human.
You look
so
like
it's
a plastic doll.
That's an even bigger question is like, who's right? The person who's claiming more or the person who's claiming less? The person who's done it to themselves or the person who hasn't? The person who, like, there's
so
not many
an
levels.
Answer. It's just you do what you want to do. That's just how it is.
In the end, there is no answer to that, but I kind of think it lies within 100% your brain. Like, but then again,
if 50% of your body is robotic, are you a human still? I would probably say yes. But if 90% of your body is robotic, if you're RoboCop,
because I don't know. It just depends on this. How far in do these things go? Like, is it just a hand that I have? Is it programmed by someone else to do things a certain way, and then I put on the hand and it says you now have these abilities to do with that hand? Like, or is it
telekinesis?
Do they have things that hook into your nerve system, or like, I don't know. I obviously don't know this stuff, but how does it work? Like replacing your hand with a new robot hand. Like I've seen it where they get new hands and people have the ability to get nerve endings connected and they like can do stuff with it. And it's like, holy shit, that's the merger.
There's different ones.
It's like,
too.
Fuck. What does that mean?
There's different ones where they do put on like a hand and you can connect the tendons and it can move certain stuff on there. But there's also ones where they hook something up to your head and then you can move it with your head and your mind.
See, like,
so it's two different ways of doing the same thing.
That stuff's wild to me. That's where I think it's probably a personal preference. It's almost like when I'm in the hospital and I have to have said thing and they better give me an option. They're like, do you want the brain chip one or do you want like the old school normal one? Like, you just get a peg leg kind of thing. And I'm like,
fuck, man, I don't know.
I'd be like, I want to move my fingers, but I don't want you to move my fingers for me. Okay, buddy? Like, I don't know. I don't know where that line stands. And it's just like, that's just a matter of time of learning and kind of keeping up with stuff to be like, I am always fascinated by the tech curve that we are in where medical fields, entertainment fields, AI. Military, everything we do is affected in some form or way by technology nowadays. And it's like the farther we go, I mean, it's interesting. It's always interesting.
The thing is I I think with how exponential it is, I think we will, like most people say, oh, that we won't have to deal with that in our lifetime. I think what I just asked you, we will have to deal with in our lifetime.
No, I think we will deal with plenty of stuff in our life that people say that we won't. It's like, just look at where we are. Like you're saying, too.
You have to keep in mind exponential.
AI to me, like that crept up on us faster than I ever expected it to, is how implemented AI is into common world now. Everyone's used to the idea of AI existing in anything. It's just normal.
Yeah, and AI isn't
even crazy. That's fucking crazy.
AI is doing crazy stuff, and AI isn't even crazy yet.
We're like we are just on the cusp of just figuring it out. It out.
Because we've like had AI or whatever, but now we have the new form of like AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. I think is how that works.
Sounds like some IBM type stuff, whatever they do over there.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, dude, I don't know. The further we go, like I said, I'm always just interested. I'll never be the person who's like, the world's gone to shit and it's because of the robots or it's because of tech. It's like, honestly, we set ourselves up for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, who's to blame? We are. We always are. It's always humans. We always come back to being the instigator of the downfall, no matter what. Now, if there comes a point where AI or robots decide that they can become sentient and stuff, it's like, well, that's just a different story. I don't know.
I don't even know how we would ever figure out if they are.
I've always been on...
Even if they tell us they are they actually?
I've always thought we could never create fully sentient, like we're sentient robots. Because in my mind, human emotions are incalculable. There is no number, there's no equation that you can put things into that says, hey, Reed, if I tell you this, you're going to feel like this. That's just like actually impossible to say by biological things, wiring, like all these things happening in the brain can be boiled down to X plus Y equals Z. Because in some way or another, a computer or a robot has to be programmed by someone, by something.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I agree and disagree, because when I think about it, infinity is such a thing that humans can't comprehend in their mind. But if you get quantum computing combined with AI and you say that it's something that's not calculable, but you add in infinity. Infinity means that you can do everything, every equation, every answer of everything all at once at the same time in an infinite amount of times, which means anything that you can create of or think of or anything in a mind or anything, you can do all of it at the same time in infinite amount of times, which is just like stuff you can't really fathom or think about. But also at the same time, would that still ever create what is in our minds? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
My simpleton brain goes, but whatever the thing is that you're talking about that can do all that, that was created by a human, correct?
Yeah.
That's where I always come back to. Things are created by humans. We are flawed. We are not perfect. We are going to put our own ego into things. Like the same question still is like, who's to say the guy that makes the perfect robot didn't go in on his own time at the very last second and not tell anyone else and go, I'm actually going to also put in one line of code that makes it so if anyone, like when you refer to, if you do one little specific thing, it'll like just weird shit like that, where it's like he could go in, but he had to do that. Like someone had to do that and go in. Someone had to say, oh, when you are brought a scenario that makes you feel this is your response. I just don't think you can't boil life down to that. It's impossible. And that's where it's like, sure, infinite possibilities, but that doesn't mean infinite answers.
And yeah, it's a tough subject that we can't go too much deeper into.
Yeah. Because the further we go,
there's more I want to say, but that's a conversation that goes 4 hours.
Yeah, straight up. If we started on that, we would still be going.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're going to end the podcast here. I know 99% of you just don't really give a shit, but if you are watching it and you get to this point, comment, like, share it. Please share it if you can, just to get it to one more set of eyes. That's going to help a ton. So if you can do that, it would be greatly appreciated.
I'll tell you this.
Oh, he's got something. One more little thing. Tidbit.
Well, I was watching it because Lion sent me a video on Instagram of just like these guys on Instagram of movie type thing. They just talk BS about movies, but just ideas for something that could be fun or like a different thing we do. They have
for anything.
They
feedback.
go. They
Jacob
do
gave you
like
feedback, Cody.
Yeah, they do like I'll give you 3 words and you have to guess the movie off the words, and it could be anything that's like kind of has to do it. So like this wasn't what they did, but it's like, say I gave you shoes, onions, palindrome.
What's a palindrome?
Same forwards and backwards word.
Oh God, what shoes is it? I don't know what it is.
That's not easy necessarily. I don't know if I'd get it.
You said onions, and all I can think of is like Knives Out, or like I don't know why.
When I say it, you'll probably be like, "Fuck."
Shrek.
Well, no. Holes.
Oh, yes.
Stanley Yelnats is his name.
Onions.
At the very end, at the thumb, at the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
They get the fresh onions that are up there. They're fucking. They love it. They're like, yes, finally. But
I'm so bad at those things. My
something like that, or they do like. There's different versions, or like I give you one word at a time until you get the movie, kind of thing.
Yeah,
just little things like that.
That's just fun.
That's I think fun, and I agree with Lion. For people listening, it's something that you can kind of play along with at the same time, and you try to play with it, and so it's a little more something. But
see, look at that, guys. Cody's taking feedback. Only from Jacob Lionello, though.
Yeah. Hey, that was last night. Nice. I'm pretty sure. So.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.